What's up, y'all? I want to talk to y'all about rosters. Let's talk about rosters. Because everything gotta close at 10 o'clock. Y'all wonder why I be eating the same shit. Anyways, y'all, people say that they have rosters, or they'll say shit like, talk to them all until one does something or acts right, whatever words they use. Basically, they say, talk to them all until someone applies pressure, basically. You know what I mean? The problem is this, though. When a woman or man is probably like a serious type of person, a person that's really trying to be exclusive with somebody, how can they have a roster? Now, a lot of y'all gonna say they got a roster because they're trying to get to know people to find out who the right one is or some shit. I already know what you're gonna say. But the problem is, this. If they like somebody so much off of their so-called roster, why didn't they just stop there and cut everybody else off? Why did they keep these people? A repeated cycle of, because that's how they got the roster in the first place. Basically, what I'm trying to ask y'all is, how did they create a roster why would you keep somebody around you don't really want? Let me put it like that. You wouldn't, unless you're the type of person that actually wants a roster and actually wants to talk to multiple people. People who like to really be exclusive and really want to be exclusive with somebody, they're not going to keep somebody around. They're not going to want to talk to. Or they're not even going to put that person, well, same thing. They're not going to put the person on the roster. They wouldn't even have a roster to begin with, when you get my point. They wouldn't deal with the person. They would just they'd move along. They'd let that person go. So my point is, how do people have rosters claiming that they're looking for someone or trying to get to know someone? How is that possible? If you was really trying to get to know someone, wouldn't you cut off all your other people? I don't know why I didn't take no sinus pills or something. This, whatever that shit was in the air, felt like got my nose kind of fucked up. If you was trying to get to know somebody, wouldn't you just cut everybody else off? And how do you have so many people to cut off to begin with? Think about it. How do you have people that you need to cut off when you meet someone that you supposedly like so much? Who's all these other people? Shouldn't you have been cutting people off? What the fuck? Shouldn't you have been cutting people off more and more? Like, shouldn't you meet somebody? All right, I don't like him or her. Cut them off, whatever. Whatever you want to call it. Wouldn't you be doing that individually? How did you build this group of people? Is what I'm trying to ask. Hold on. Man, ever since that fucking Fog shit, man. I ain't been right. But I know when I took my sinus pills yesterday, I was good. I just forgot to do it. I thought it was done. Should have probably took it one more time. So that's how I ended up with my nose like this right now. I'm not the only motherfucker to count my money at the machine. Dude, gonna have to just wait. Fuck that shit. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. I never have cash like this, but Vegas, you gotta have some cash on you, man. So, like I was saying, man, if people are really serious like they claim, or I even give them the benefit of the doubt and say that, okay, they're trying to get to know somebody or find the right one, even if that is the case, like, once you met somebody that you like, wouldn't you just kind of like try to deal with that person? Only way I see that you wouldn't do that is if that person seems like they don't want to deal with you or whatever the case may be. But we are talking about people who have rosters. So how is it possible to have a roster unless that person is trying to deal with you or reciprocate in some type of way? They got to be doing something, or they wouldn't be on your team, your roster. When people say they have rosters, they're saying that they have people that are actually doing stuff for them. Think about that. You don't say you got a roster of people who ain't talking to you, reciprocating to you at all. You don't know who does that. Who says that's a roster? Nobody. So when people say they have a roster, they're talking about people that's willing to deal with them. So my question is, again, how are you able to have a roster if you are so-called trying to explore your options? Because you would have cut the roster off. Or should I say, you would have cut the people off you didn't want for the one that you want. But then again, you wouldn't even have had a roster to begin with because you would have been exploring one person at a time. But we all know people don't do that. You know what I mean? And then sometimes people, they're waiting for something they feel that is better to come along. But in the meantime, they'll deal with people that they really don't want like that. That's what's really going on. That's all a roster really is. It's not like these people who have rosters are have a roster of a whole bunch of people they really like. That's not what it is. It's a bunch of people that they really don't like. Because if they really like the person that much, a lot of people, even a so-called player, might even consider just dealing with that one woman or man more than having a roster, because they wouldn't want to lose something that they feel is so special, whatever the case. But y'all gotta understand that these people have rosters because they're dealing with people who are reciprocating to them. You don't have no damn roster of a bunch of people who are ignoring you and don't want you. That's impossible. That's not what it is. You know what I'm saying? Y'all need to wake up and understand. And a lot of people are going to tell you that you have to, in order to find a good woman, you got to take her from a guy, or you got to get on her roster to be qualified to deal with her. And I'm telling you right now, a woman who's seeking one guy is not going to have a roster, because she's going to, once she finds some guy she likes, she's going to try to deal with that guy. The only way it won't work is if that guy don't want her back or some shit like that. But more than likely, she's just going to try to deal with that guy. And even a guy, don't let this shit fool you and think that the right type of men won't do this. Yes, they will. If the right type of man is looking for one woman, he's not trying to build no damn roster. He's not. He's just trying to find one woman and deal with that woman. And in the meantime, he's not going to deal with women that he don't really like, so therefore he's not going to have a fucking roster. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to have a roster because he's not that type. He's not looking for a roster. People who have rosters are looking for a roster. They're building a roster. That's another thing. You don't just have a roster. You have to build one, especially as a man. So if a man is dealing with a lot of women, he had to actually build that roster. Woman could just basically just talk to motherfuckers and she can build rosters because of the vagina. Motherfuckers gonna want to sleep with her. Or that woman is sleeping with these men, and that's why she has the roster. Forgot what I was looking for. Oh well. But the headphones, that's what it was. Fuck are they at? Oh God. But all I'm saying is you're not gonna have no damn roster unless you're trying to have a roster. That's the moral of this video. They're not going to have a roster unless they try to have one. They want y'all to believe that they got rosters because they're trying to see who qualifies and all this shit. And they don't even qualify, to be honest. Because how do you qualify when you don't even know what you want? If you knew what you wanted and you was really trying to be exclusive with one person, you would pick somebody. You would have picked somebody. Or you would have just not picked nobody and just stay to yourself, but you wouldn't be building no damn roster. You wouldn't be involved with no roster. No way. No way around it. This is so simple, it don't even have to be broken down. It really don't. It really don't, man. I forget what I seen that made me make this video about the damn roster, but it was something along the lines of, will you cut off your roster to be with me? See, this is the type of people that people like. Again, how can someone who's trying to be exclusive, one person, have a roster? They're not going to have no roster, dog. See, again, the post said, I love these posts because they give me ideas to make videos. The post said, would you cut off the roster, basically, for me, or whatever. That's the point. Cutting off the roster for one person. That's not going to happen because you're dealing with a person that doesn't want one person. If they wanted one person, they would not have a roster because they would not have built a roster to begin with. As a man, you got to build one. As a woman, you really don't have to put much effort into building one. But 9 times out of 10, if a woman has a roster, she's sleeping with something. She's doing something that's making these guys feel like they got some hope. Ain't no woman walking around with no roster just because she look good. Nah, it don't work like that. Because the man could be like, I ain't getting nothing out of that, I'm gone. So if she got a roster of men, she's doing something. She might not be sleeping with them all, but she's giving them all hope or something. She's playing with their mind or some shit. Now my point is this: imagine me saying, get rid of your roster, then I'll be your man. A woman who's looking for a solid dude don't have no fucking roster, man. She can't, because she's trying to explore one guy. So when one guy doesn't qualify or the guy doesn't want her, she's on to the next person. She's not gonna keep him hanging around because she's not the type of woman that wants more than one guy. The only women that keep the men hanging around is the ones that build rosters. And the same thing can be said with the men. The man is going to sense, okay, this woman don't like me, or I don't like this woman, but I only want one woman. There's no point for him to keep that girl around. The only ones that are keeping people around that they don't really want are the people who are building rosters. And I say it's the people that they don't want, because if they really wanted somebody like that, they wouldn't want. If you really, really want somebody like that, they satisfy you. You don't need 3 different people, 5 different people. People need that because they're not satisfied for whatever reason from the person they're dealing with. Right or wrong, I don't know. But for whatever reason, that's why they got more than one person. That's why a man cheats and all this other shit. Let me say this too. That's why women and men cheat. But let me also say this, because I don't want y'all to get this twisted. Some people cheat because they're not satisfied within themselves. They can't satisfy themselves. But guess what? Since they can't satisfy themselves, you can't either. So it's still you, but it's really them. Really, it's them. If they pick you and say that I want to be with you, obviously you was good enough for that. So what changed? What happened? You know what I mean? But remember that. Don't forget that shit. People cheat, or they're not satisfied with one person because they're not satisfied with themselves. Or let's say this: they can't be satisfied with one person until they're satisfied with themselves. That way it doesn't seem like I'm judging people and shit like that. People cannot be satisfied with one person until they learn how to be satisfied with themselves first. That's a fact. If they're not enough for themselves, you'll never be enough. But that's all I gotta say about it, and I'm gonna let y'all go, man. So next time you want to be this woman that makes him drop his roster, I got a news flash for you. He wouldn't even have a roster if he was looking for a woman, to so-called drop all women in the world for. He wouldn't have a roster. He'd be moving with that same intent. If his intent is to get one woman, that's how he's going to move. If her intent is to have one guy, that's how she's going to move. She's not going to be dealing with 10 guys, but saying she wants one guy. If she does, she's delusional. If he does, he's delusional. Or they're liars. They're either delusional or liars. How can I say I want to be a wife or a husband, but I'm moving like a player? That don't make sense. But you got the people out here saying, well, they got to explore their options to see who's right. Well, then, it's like this. I meet a woman, and I like her a lot. Right? Anybody I met before her or after her should not matter. Right? Because I like her a lot. But what's going on is people are meeting people, and it's not what they really want. So therefore, I got to hold on to the people that I met before you, and I'm going to hold on to people that I met after you too. That's all it is. If a woman knows who I am, knows all about me, like sees what I'm about and shit, and she still want to keep exploring options, I'm not the one. Obviously, you don't believe who I am. You can make any excuse in the world you want and say, well, what if he doesn't talk to me? Or what if he, not that, what if he doesn't talk to me, meaning, what if he doesn't pick me? Right? I got to have these other options on deck, right? Well, why? If those other options on deck were so good, right? If they were so good, why'd you start talking to me after you met them? You see how this works? It's common sense. How did you end up talking to me if them guys was so good though, that you had to hold on to them just in case? You would never talk to me. Think about it. It's kind of like somebody who cheats on somebody instead of leaving them. They holding on to the person because they're good enough. They know there's something that they're getting out of the person, right? So they hold on to the person instead of leaving the person. So my question is, when a woman meets me, right? And then I reciprocate back to her, or trying or something, putting in effort, how is she still talking to other guys too? Because if it don't work out with me, then them other guys, I'm gonna talk to one of them. I guess that's how they're seeing it. But again, if you thought that I was who I say I am, and you thought that there's a legitimate chance to try to fuck with me, why are you still fishing in the sea? If I go out and fish for some fish and I catch what I wanted, why the fuck am I still out here? Shouldn't I be going home trying to cook the fish? AKA, I got the girl I want. Shouldn't I go home and try to, like, cook her, basically? Meaning reciprocate to her, see who she is, see what she's about. It's like this car right here. I got the car I want. Why would I ain't even looked on Auto Trader. For what? I got what I wanted. Or it could be a job or career. When you get the job that you want, you don't be looking for other jobs. You look for other jobs when that job starts to make you feel like it's not what you want. So apply that to the damn people, man. It's kind of like that sinus shit just hit me. Like, I did get out that shower though. Maybe that has something to do with it. And it's kind of cold now. And the old runner, you know, somebody's little kid really just walked in that Applebee's door like that. It's dark and shit. What the fuck? Shit crazy, man. Hey, I'm gonna let y'all go though, man. That's something to think about though for y'all. You know, trying to take people away from rosters and shit. If I see somebody got a roster, I'm just not gonna take them serious. I ain't gonna ask them to cut down your roster. I ain't trying to make your roster. I ain't trying to try out and qualify. None of that shit. It is what it is. Okay, you got a roster. I'm gonna just assume that you're a player. I'm not going to assume that you're exploring your options. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not. I'm sorry. Because if A didn't make you feel like it was good enough to not deal with or explore B or C, then why the fuck you didn't just let go of A? Why not? Obviously they wasn't good enough because you kept looking. What possibly could B or C show you? No, let me put it like this. What possibly could A show you? Or how can I say this? What intrigued you to deal with B or C that A didn't have? Think about it. A must not be good enough for you, in your opinion, because you would not explore B and C. There's no fucking way. You cannot convince me. I know how women are. When a woman's stuck on some guy and shit, she passes up all kind of men that could be good. But she's stuck on him, and he could be a bum like a motherfucker. When I say bum, I mean a dude that treat her like shit. It ain't even got nothing to do with money, for real. I seen it with my own eyes, where women will stay with a guy that treats them bad. She didn't leave the guy. They don't be leaving these guys. They don't leave option A because they think option A is good enough. Problem is, option A started fucking up, so now option A might not seem like he's as good as my mind tells me that he is, because I'm really delusional and I'm lost in living a whole entire lie. But The point is when the main guy that she wants to start fucking up, that's when she starts exploring her options. Now you can apply that same shit to somebody who's not even in a relationship. They're just looking for people, right? When the main one that they was exploring, or you know what I mean, starts messing up, or they start seeming like he's not what they really want, what do? They look for another option. So really, people with rosters is telling everybody on the roster, none of y'all are really good enough for me to not talk to other people. That's a fact. I could just end it right there. People with rosters are telling people, everybody on their roster, none of y'all are good enough for me to just settle down with you. So that's why I talk to him, and him. For whatever reason. It could be because you don't make me feel like I could trust you enough. That's still a problem. It don't always have to be because you don't really like the person enough. It could be a lot of shit. Point is, man, y'all not getting these motherfuckers to drop their rosters. They got a roster for a reason because that's who they are. And it is what it is. I'm not judging them. I'm just telling y'all you're not going to make them drop their fucking roster. It's not like they're going to meet some woman or man. Make sure I'm not missing my food. Nah, I think I'm good. It's not like they're going to meet some woman or man and it's just going to make them drop everybody. You know what I mean? If that's the case, they would do that like immediately. It wouldn't be no like 6 months and then I'm going to drop everybody for you or whatever. And why does he or she even have a roster to begin with? Why didn't they just drop people until they met the one that they liked a lot? That's my thing. Why don't people just drop the people that they not sure of or don't want until they meet someone that they are? Now you're using people. You're keeping people around for your own good. Again, everybody on a roster is people that's really not good enough in their eyes. That's why they still looking. But at the same time, they want the benefits of the roster. Which goes back to what I was saying. There's certain type of people that want rosters and certain type of people who don't. So if somebody has a roster, that's who they are in their mind. That's how they are. That's what type of person they are. They have a roster because that's how they move. Y'all still don't get it. Y'all still think they just magically had a roster. Like it just magically happened. And they're going to magically just drop it for you. Nah. And here's another thing before I get off here. You really think, this is what y'all really got to understand. Y'all really think that these men and women don't meet somebody good? Because in your mind, you're like, I'm a good woman or man. What the fuck is wrong with this motherfucker? Or, this guy, this girl, right? Because you're not realizing that you're not the only woman or man that they met, good man or good woman that they met. A lot of y'all think that, though. A lot of y'all think that, well, they just didn't meet the right good woman or man yet. Let me show them some shit. And the truth is, man, 9 times out of 10, everybody has met good people, but they start building these rosters is what they doing. Because that's all a roster is. It's somebody that's good. And I say that because they're benefiting off that person. You're not going to build a roster of people that don't benefit you. So these people on the roster, they're been told that they're not good enough. That's why I got to talk to all of y'all. But at the same time, they're bringing some type of benefit to the person. And they must be good enough because the person wouldn't keep them around. They're actually good enough because the person keeps them around because they benefit the person. But at the same time, the person in their mind is saying you're not good enough. That's why I have a roster of y'all. You see what I mean? It's like a woman who gets cheated on. She thinks she's not good enough, but in reality, he's not. Or if a woman cheats and the man thinks he's not good enough, but in reality, she's not. So that's all, man. I'm gonna let y'all go, man. They got a roster because that's what they want. They built that roster. Believe that shit. And they doing something to keep that roster. A bunch of women are not going to just stay on my roster for no reason. I'm doing something. I got to give them money. I got to do something. And you can flip that shit vice versa. Ain't a bunch of men just sitting around and she not sleeping with none of them, nothing. Stop it. She doing something. She might not be sleeping with them all, but she's entertaining them, giving them false dreams or something. And he might not be sleeping with them all. Well, we know that's cap, because a man's not going to do that. A man's not going to have a roster of women just doing nothing. Nah. They just friends. Nah. Only way I see a man not sleeping with one on his roster is if that woman is giving him money or some type of shit like that that really benefits him. Other than that, the only way he's really going to see benefit to having a women around and having them on a roster is sex, basically. That's the truth. So yeah, man, they got rosters because they don't think people are good enough. That's why they keep looking and adding more motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, these people are good enough. That's why they keep them on the roster, because they're benefiting. You know what I mean? So, all right, y'all, I'm out of here, man.